Details tonight about a deadly officer-involved shooting that happened in Fond du Lac last month. On the evening of Monday, February 24th, Fond du Lac County Sheriff's Office received a call from 26-year-old Jesus Armando Mendez-Berry, who reported he had a felony warrant for his arrest and wished to turn himself in. Law enforcement also received a call from a person who reported a man matching Mendez-Berry's description who had a handgun in his waistband. Deputies responded to the 6300 block of Cherrywood Drive a short time later. Authorities say Mendez-Berry refused commands to show both of his hands, and one deputy fired a non-lethal weapon. Mendez-Berry then grabbed what deputies believed was a firearm. Sergeant Andrew Coleman then fired his gun, hitting Mendez-Berry. Officials attempted life-saving measures, and Mendez-Berry was transported to a hospital where he later died. Deputies later recovered a black CO2 pellet BB handgun from the scene. No authorities were injured. State DOJ continues to review body camera footage and evidence in the case. First Alert